After the government collapsed, hundreds of thousands of people in France took to the streets in what is called the Block Everything movement, calling for the president to resign. Here's what's going on. It all started in July when right-wing Prime Minister François Bayrou announced a new budget for 2026 with budget cuts which would affect public spending, freeze pensions, and eliminate 2 public holidays to reduce the country's debt. This made people furious as they're already struggling with unemployment and high taxes. Then on September 8th, Bayrou proposed a no-confidence vote to seek support for his plan, but to his surprise, he was voted out by both the left and the right wing. Bayrou was then forced to resign, making him the 3rd prime minister to be kicked out in just a year. People celebrated his resignation, but then French President Emmanuel Macron appointed another right-wing politician, Sébastien Lecornu, who is seen as a close ally of Macron as the new prime minister, fueling anger again. In response, a grassroots movement called Bloc en Tout, or Block Everything, planned a massive nationwide civil disobedience action on Wednesday, September 10th, during Lecornu's inauguration. More than 250,000 people across France took to the streets, holding a nationwide boycott, blocking roads, burning barricades and trash bins, and clashing with police to protest the budget cuts and to call for Macron to resign. People said they had had enough as the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Reuters reported many of the protests were peaceful, but authorities arrested 473 people by late afternoon, according to local media Le Monde. Protests are still ongoing as of Thursday, September 11th, with protesters saying they won't stop until they see real change.
France's government is on the verge of collapse and the crisis is shaking Europe to its core. The country is drowning in debt, with a staggering €3.3 trillion deficit that grows by nearly €5,000 every single second. And it's not just France, the United Kingdom is also staring down the same path. Here's the part most people don't know. For decades, 14 African nations were forced into an arrangement that sent up to 80% of their yearly revenues straight to France. That deal kept France afloat for over 50 years. But times have changed. Countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, and Senegal have expelled France, cutting off Paris from the very resources that kept its economy stable. Now, the fallout is massive. Companies are leaving France, unemployment is rising, and the state can't keep up with the weight of its own debt. The lifeline from Africa is gone, and with it, France's economic safety net. Meanwhile, the UK still leans heavily on Nigeria, but analysts warn that if Nigeria follows the same path and pushes back, Britain could face a collapse similar to France. What we're seeing right now is Europe paying the price for decades of dependency on Africa. The old system is crumbling and the cracks are finally out in the open. So here's the big question. Is this the beginning of Europe's economic downfall? Or can these nations survive without Africa's resources?
Now that Africa, 14 countries in Africa has cut France totally off. They told France that they will not be sending them no 85% of their income. They will not be doing it. They've been doing that shit since 1959 and they will no longer be doing it. France thought that Africa was playing. And no, they weren't. Because now France, their economy is tanking big time. They are in such a deficit. Their country is just falling. It's burning right now. It hasn't even been 3 months and they can't pay their bills. Those 14 countries in Africa is putting France fucking out of business. And that's only 14 countries. You know, Africa has 52 or 53. What is France going to do? And Africa don't even want to make no deals. They don't even want to work with them. They don't want to do shit. They're done. They're finished. It's over with. We don't want to talk to y'all no more. Them 14 countries are trying to get the other countries to just start pulling back too. So France is falling. France is falling, y'all.
Guys, looks like there's trouble in paradise for France. And the crisis looks like it's very deep. Hey beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So all credit goes to the creators in these videos. Guys, France is facing serious political chaos, like a broken economy and angry citizens. And many people are asking if President Emmanuel Macron is still able to lead. Because in less than 1 year, France already has 3 different prime ministers. And this is very unusual and it just shows how unstable the government has become. Okay, so the latest prime minister, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce his name right, Francois Bayrou, tried to pass a tough budget plan. So he wanted to cut billions of euros from spending and even cut some public holidays, like probably have too many public holidays. But this plan of ease was unpopular, right? They were not used to it, to both the lawmakers and the public. So When Beirut, I believe that's his name, I believe I'm pronouncing him right, asked the parliament to vote on whether they trusted him, he lost badly. Only 364 voted against him and only 194 supported him. And after he lost, he had to step down, and the president quickly appointed a new prime minister, Le Cornu, I believe, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right also, as the new prime minister, guys. And the French people are angry. Many of them believe that this is just another temporary fix. Guys, I need to know what you think in the comment section if you know something about this, because France's problem seems to be bigger than what they are letting on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep watching these videos and I'll talk about more.
What a time to be alive. If only you knew how powerful you were as a black person, they will not only respect you, they'll also bow at your feet. They are already afraid of you. That is why they're doing everything they can to make sure you don't recognize your power. The saga continues. France's downfall does not need to be studied because it's as easy as ABC. They are broke. They have fired their third prime minister within 1 year. Look at this photo. No matter how many prime ministers you fire, you will not be able to dig yourself out of this because you're poor, you're broke. Without Africa, you're nothing.
So the French government has fallen again, but international news media is going to be very shy about telling us the real reason why it's fallen, the economic reasons why it's fallen. On his way out, the ousted Prime Minister, Mr. Francois, said, "You might kick me out, you might remove me, but that does not change the economic problems for the country." I'm paraphrasing. The real reason why France has failed as a government is because Africa has taken its power back. Ever since the country of Niger in the Sahel, in Central West Africa, decided to nationalize its uranium, France has never been the same again. This uranium that state-owned companies like Orano, French-owned companies like Orano had been siphoning, stealing under the previous government, today, Niger turned off the faucet. Niger said no more. So Niger, under the new governance of President Tiani, is nationalizing its uranium. This uranium France was stealing not only to light its beautiful cities like Paris and Nice, it was also using it to run its electrical manufacturing and industries, all of these processing and running their nuclear reactors on top of it all. So these things that are the foundations of an economy, like manufacturing and processing, right now that the electricity in France, their energy is not safe, they do not have a reliable place to get their energy from, this is why they're suffering. But it's not going to be told that way on international news media. You're only going to hear it from people like me and others who are truth tellers. So yeah, this is why. This is what happens. This is proof that African leaders are in service of either them or us.
The funny part about the French government collapsing is not that Macron is absolute crap at picking prime ministers, but that this decision to pick this prime minister has led to apparently now government officials calling for his impeachment or resignation. The French government just had a vote of confidence over the recently added prime minister. His last name is Beirut, I think. And out of 558 votes, they needed 280 in a yes to solidify his position. 194 said yes. 364 said no. It wasn't even close. How bad of a politician do you have to be to have picked 4 different prime ministers and lost all 4 of them in 12 months, while also being simultaneously responsible for 2 government collapses now in less than a year? That's crazy. Now it makes sense why that letter was leaked from the Ministry of Health to the hospitals in France that they should be preparing for war in early 2026.
I hope it doesn't go down to that level. War? Another big problem they have. France's public debt is now more than 114% of GDP, which just means that the country owes more than the value of everything it produces in a year. Guys, And on the top of that, their budget deficit is far above the European Union's limit. Oh my god. Guys, at this point, people are furious. That is why they brought out this movement called, in quotes, block everything. They filled the streets with protests. They were burning stuff, burning public properties. The citizens are angry. They are angry at the rising cost of living. They are angry at the government that keeps collapsing. They are angry at the fact that things keep changing. And some opposition groups are even calling for their president's impeachment. They are saying that he's incompetent. They are saying he has failed the country. They are saying that which country has about three, prime ministers in less than a year, right? Although the impeachment attempts have not succeeded, guys, but the pressure is rising. Pressure is rising. And the truth of the matter to the French people is just that they are saying that Macron's government is stuck. They are saying that the debts are rising. They are saying the protests are spreading. And they are saying that the parliament is too divided to agree on solutions. They are even saying that this new prime minister, it doesn't look as if he's going to be able to succeed. Like, they're already calling for the man's failure before he even starts his office duties. Oh my goodness. Is there any country that is free of problems, guys? I need to know your thoughts in the comment section, because these days I don't even understand what is going on with every country.
Well, never in a million years did I believe that this investigation would lead us to this moment. And I am not even referring to the lawsuit. I'm referring to something much bigger. Foremost, I should let you guys know that it was announced just 3 hours ago that the French government has collapsed. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. New York Times. French government collapses again, deepening paralysis. But I don't want you guys to get distracted, because I think it is sort of a distraction a little bit. They don't want you watching Becoming Brigitte season 2. I personally think Emmanuel Macron wants out. No, instead, they're telling the French people, take to the streets. I hope by now you guys realize that these decisions, like who is going to be president and when, those decisions are actually
Thousands of people have flooded the streets of France in massive protests, demanding immediate elections and calling for the removal of President Emmanuel Macron. Protesters accuse him of being the cause of the country's problems, blaming his leadership for the current collapse. The situation has escalated, with demonstrators shutting down businesses, torching government buildings, and even targeting restaurants. The message is clear: they want Macron out of power. One of the major grievances fueling the anger is France's loss of influence in Africa, especially in Niger. For years, France relied heavily on Niger's uranium, which powered a significant portion of the nation's electricity supply, about 65%. Since France's expulsion from Africa, citizens argue that this has contributed to energy challenges and deepened the crisis. Many believe Macron's foreign policies directly undermine the country's stability and resources. Adding to the unrest is France's staggering debt of around 3.3 trillion euros. The country is struggling to find ways to manage this financial burden, turning to the IMF for assistance and even appealing to Germany for support. Protesters see this as a sign of weakness and desperation, intensifying their calls for Macron's resignation. With debt piling up, energy resources cut off, and citizens in revolt, France faces one of its most turbulent moments in recent history.
Guys, France's troubles are not just inside the country. Abroad, France is also losing power, because for decades, France depended on old colonies in Africa for influence, for trade, and for financial support through the CFA Franc system, right? And this system meant that about 14 African countries kept part of their money reserves in France central bank. So it gave Paris control, it gave them stability. And now this system is breaking apart, because leaders like Ibrahim of Burkina Faso have openly rejected France's influence. And many African nations are demanding control of their own resources. They want to keep their gold and money at home instead of sending it to France. And this shift is important because it weakens France's global influence, and it also affects France's economy, right? Because it will lose some of the financial benefits that it quietly and, calmly gained from Africa. So, for people, they are saying that France is collapsing both inside and outside, both home and abroad, with debts, with protests, and with everything. France is standing on shaky ground, because inside the country the government is unstable, the debt is massive, people are angry, people are protesting, and outside Africa is pulling away, right? France has not collapsed finally yet, but the signs of weakness are very clear. And if the government does not do something to fix all its problem and to maybe regain trust back from Africa, well, which I doubt might work, but anyways, so many things are happening, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really want to hear from you. And if you have found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Please stay safe. Mental health is important. Ciao.